Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again today. This is another video in my series celebrating women. I'm very conscious that we're long past Women's History Month and International Women's Day, but we can celebrate women all year round, so it doesn't matter. Today I have another amazing guest on, so I will let her introduce herself.
Thank you for having me. My name's Rachel Agorom Lloyd. I'm a mother, I'm an accountant, and I'm also an activist. I'm the vice chair of Merseyside BLM Alliance. I'm also the North BAME Group chair for BDO, the accountancy firm that I work for. And most recently, I am the co-lead of the marketing pillar of the Black Professional Services Collective that launched earlier this week. And thank you for having me. I'm really excited to have a discussion with you today.
No,
As you can
definitely.
tell, I'm from Liverpool as well, if no one's got onto that.
No, it's definitely my pleasure. Obviously, we met through BLM.
Yes.
We've had some a big range of discussions, I suppose.
Loads of discussions,
Mm,
marches. Yeah,
loads of
it's
work.
been a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, and one part of the reason I wanted you on was that for me, you've always been somebody who, when you speak, people really stop and listen, very much respect what you're
Thank you.
saying. Um, definitely an important voice in the circles that we're both a part of. Plus, as a bonus reason, I just found this out today. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your favorite movies are the Godfather trilogy.
Yes. Yes. And I have to watch them all at the same time. I can't just watch the first one. I have to, so I do like a bit of a whole day
Marathon.
thing, because it's like I've just got to do it. I've got to kill it. And just sorry, people, I just need to explain this. And I can't even tell you how many times I've watched the films because I started watching them when I was 8 years old, and I'm now 43, and I try and watch them at least once every 2 weeks. So if you can try and work out how many times that I've watched that film, and also when I had my little boy who's now 18, when I was breastfeeding him and waking up every night to feed him, I used to put them on. So yeah, I can't really work out how many times I've watched the film. So yeah, I know word by word. When I was in labour, I actually quoted some of the words as well. So that's how much I love that film.
That is incredible. That is brilliant. When I thought you were gonna say you watch them at least once a year, once every two.
No, no,
That's amazing.
that's a fun fact.
I suddenly realized that I'm not as obsessed with The Godfather as I thought I was.
I've got
Not,
serious problems.
oh, also, I'm just gonna say this one time. You don't look 43. No, no,
It's
no.
true. Good genes, good genes. Thanks to my mother and my father, good genes.
Oh, there's probably a bunch of people sitting right now just in disbelief. So, so moving on. This series was obviously inspired by Women's History Month and International Women's Day.
Yes.
So, what do those mean to you?
Wow, to be a woman and to be a Black woman. Wow. I mean, one of the big things for me, and especially in this movement, of BLM, is the majority of the leaders are Black women.
Mm,
We are strong, we are resilient. I don't know whether it's because of being a mother, that I don't know. And I'm so proud of being a woman. I've never been one of these people who, you know, oh, you're a woman, I'll hold the door for you, etc., etc. I've never let that be. I've been wanting to be treated differently. I'm a strong woman, both physically and both mentally. I do I do weights, I do MMA, I do boxing, etc.
mm.
I'll tell you a little story actually to show you the strength of me as a woman. Um, I went to a men's only boxing club, and the boxing coach was trying to kill me off basically by making me do the same things as the men within the actual club. And don't get me wrong, it was a hard, very, very hard class where I used to actually come home and take paracetamols. And every time I turned up, you could see his face was with disappointment. But that is the resilience that us as women have. And, you know, we go through childbirth, we, you know, we go through a lot. You know, we go to work and we're mothers, and, you know, we do all that. And I think as well, we've got a lot of good role models out there. And for me, my role model is my mother. You know, she raised us, you know, my dad was there, but she raised us and worked as well. So I think, yeah, all credence to women. Look at the things we've achieved now. So yeah, I'm so proud to be a woman.
I love it. I think it's what you said, and one of the best things that I feel that I've seen over the past year is getting involved with BLM and whatnot is, as you said, so many black women leading. Um, Obviously, we know everything about employment issues and promotion issues, but
Yeah,
I think it was demonstrated
disparities, yeah.
particularly well during the pandemic as well, where you saw that the countries handling the pandemic the best, coincidentally, were usually countries led by women.
Yeah.
Now, that might be a huge coincidence, but it is still very interesting to see what happens when women are in position and they're giving rein to actually do that. Obviously, I think you've been a great leader throughout.
And Chantel, I'll give a shout out to Chantel Lloyd there as well. Yes, can't not say about her. But no, you're right with the leaders. I mean, you know, my mum's country, Barbados, led by a woman. New Zealand, led by a woman. Yeah, so so yeah, I agree with you 100%. 100%.
Definitely, I'm just trying to find my role playing back up. How to be the best supporting act. No, trying to work in the shadows a little bit more gives me room to breathe.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work. I don't think people realize how hard it is, but yeah, I mean, we're doing so much. I mean, even recently, you know, with like reclaim the streets and stuff like that, you know, the women have been out there and doing the work, you know, and getting their voices heard, and it's amazing the work that's been done. Yeah, it's just there's some amazing women out there.
Definitely. And it kind of leads into what I was going to ask next in terms of how you feel as a woman in the world right now.
For me, I am very, very positive about, you know, when I look at, like, for example, I mentioned my son, when I look at how it was when I was having my son and working, it was so hard. I mean, I had my son and was back in work in 3 months. You know, now people can take maternity leave for a
Yeah.
year. That, you know, that's a big difference, you know, and, you know, you can have flexible working and stuff like that. They never had that when, you know, when I had my lad. So that's a bit of a progression, you know. They're looking as well at the gender gap, you know, the gender pay gap as well and stuff like that. So, you know, they never had that when I first went into the working world. So, you know,
Yeah.
these are little steps that are changing. You know, don't get me wrong, you know, there's still disparities, as there is with race as well,
Yeah.
but people are recognizing them and trying to do something about it, whereas, you know, but in the past it just wasn't happening. So
Yeah.
for me now as a woman, you know, my child is becoming a man, I find things a bit easier. But I feel if I was a younger lady, you know, thinking of having children, stuff like that, I think that, you know, there probably is a bit more opportunity with the flexible working and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I think the future looks really, really bright.
I think we were talking about in terms of work arrangements. I think so often the discussion gets. I want to say it's. I don't want to say it's on purpose, but I think the people changing the discussion know what they're doing. Where we get into details about, you know, maternity leave and the details of it, where the point is really that it should just be the case that women have the choice to do whatever they want and work it however you want. And you can have your maternity leave or you can have none at all, and you can do
Yeah.
whatever you want. And that's the position which we're starting to move to, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a point of, you know, they shouldn't be making a woman feel guilty. And I think at the same time as well, we need to remember as well about paternity. We need to let's get the men into this conversation as well. They might want to spend some time with with their baby as well. No, let's be fair. Or it'd be nice if the father was there to help the woman as well. You need to think about that. So it's we could be here all day talking about it, to be fair, but it's to give people that choice, isn't it, and to make that smooth transition between them being at home and then going back to work. But it's like, I was surprised actually, because I run a team, and I was surprised about how one of my members of the team, she was basically doing these days where she comes in and does a bit of work and then comes in like the next week and the next week. Whereas for me, I just did my 3 months and went straight back into work. They expected me to be right back straight at that sort of productivity. So for me, I was a bit shocked. So, there's things like that have come in that are really good. Whereas like me, it was like I had to step in like it was the 3 months before. So things like that are really good. So we're moving.
All I can say is this: when, by the grace of God, I have children, I'm not coming back to work. My paternity leave is going to be like a good 18 years.
A good 8. Well, don't blame me, to be fair. Just, it's hard work. It's a job in itself. It's a job in itself.
You know what? And this is this is something which I've said before. I don't think I've said it on camera, but people close to me have heard me say it before. One of the things that come out of the Kobe Bryant tragedy is obviously his relationship with his daughters.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
And I can't remember what it was. There was a moment where it was like a social media day or something, where everybody was saying, was it, they're a girl dad or something like that? They all, I can't remember what exactly the phrasing was, but I've predicted that my daughter, or one of my daughters, is going to be my favorite child. I just know it already.
Oh, like a daddy's girl,
My daughter is going to do to football what Gianna was going to do to basketball.
Is that your plan?
So
is that your plan?
so guys always talk about the Mbappe project. So I don't know if you know Kylian Mbappe, footballer right now. He's only like 22, but he's won basically everything in the world. And guys talk about the Mbappe project. So that's going to be my paternity leave at home.
I like your plan. I love your plan. It's a good plan. So that's your goal.
That's your goal. The goal.
That's legit your goal. No, that sounds nice though. No, that part of my life's done now. So I'm in the enjoyment bit where I'm just enjoying being. No, I was going to say old. I'm not old. I'm just enjoying calmness now. Calmness when I'm doing like activism, but calmness.
It's a hell of a choice.
I know. Well, I've got the time now, so. Yeah.
Well, you're a head honcho now. You're a big shot, no?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's busy. It's busy. Idle hands and all that, as they say. But there's just so much work for us to do, so many different ways. So, I mean, it's like the stuff we do, like with Merseyside BLM, but then also in a different side, like I mentioned it earlier, with the Black Professional Services Collective. Yes. That's coming from a different side of looking at like getting Black youth into professions and like making them see that they can get into professions and look like me or look like you. Do you know what I mean? So they can have an afro, they can have the hair in locks, that they're not just seeing, a white middle class person being an accountant. And I think that's really important, and especially as well, females. Let's take it from that as well, being females, that it's not just a male middle class people. So I'm very, very passionate about that. That we are role models, or as someone I've heard say, real models for people, for them to aspire to and know that they can become that, when they're young. So that's a big passion of mine, a really big passion of mine.
So did you always want to be an accountant? Because I know for a lot of black people, um, you're, you're, you're raised saying you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, accountant.
My father's Nigerian. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm Nigerian, so yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
so so that's answered your question. Yeah, I mean, I sometimes, like we talk about privilege.
Hmm.
So in a way, I think, we all have different levels of privilege, and I think I'm privileged in some way because my mum is an accountant too. So I saw that as, I was capable of being an accountant, and then I had that Nigerian side of, you be a doctor, an accountant, engineer, blah blah blah. So that's probably why I'm quite passionate in going into certain schools and stuff and saying, you can be this, because I'm privileged that, I did go to private school. I did see that you could be an accountant, so I think, and my mum's an accountant, she's female, so there's things like that. I had that positive role model. So I want to do that for somebody who might not have that positive role model. I think it's really, really important, I was saying earlier today, I was doing a presentation about unconscious bias, and I was saying, when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, the only positive role models that you seen that were black were either on top of the pop singing, doing the electric slide or whatever, prancing round, or doing sports.
Yeah.
That was it. Or you saw another black person be on Crime Watch, or in the news. That was it. You didn't see them in adverts or in a positive light. So that's why I'm quite positive about that, and I'm passionate, and I want to continue to do that.
No, definitely. I think even as you say it, like obviously it's you're gonna play ball or you're gonna be a rapper kind of thing for a lot of guys, and obviously you see it now, obviously in the US and in the UK as well. But it just comes back to people not seeing it as you said. Like I think one of the biggest problems that we have is when you try and fix the problem by, we'll call it forced representation. What you do is you do Black History Month and you say these are your 5 people and learn about them and whatnot. But it's the difference between saying here's a black person who's a lawyer versus when we talk about lawyers, we see black people, and it's part of that, and then you take it in, and it's the subconscious learning of it and recognition of it, changing it.
Exactly. It's just so important. I just think, like, for me, it's just like youth is they are the most important people. Our children are the most important. That positive role model, and for them to believe that they can do anything. And it is that thing of seeing is doing. If they can see it, then they know and they believe they can do it. So it's just really, really important. So so that's why I'm passionate about that, and especially for little girls and stuff like that. It's just really, really important.
No, I think my previous guest Lara, we were speaking about how we go back into our school and we speak to students and the importance of having people from an area where you're not expected to do well, really racially diverse, coincidentally, and having people in professional fields, and seeing, and it comes back to the way we talk about generational wealth. One of the reasons that white people have privilege is their family is more likely to have owned a home, they're more likely to have their own business, and so that can pass down. With black people, it's not just about the wealth side of it, but also seeing through the generations people in professional capacities. So it's the norm, and it changes that. So in my upbringing, I was lucky to have parents who supported me and worked, and you could see in that my sister went off to uni, studied to be an accountant. I went to be a lawyer. My brother went to be an engineer. Can you tell my dad?
Familiar?
Can you tell my dad's Nigerian?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
But yeah, and obviously for women as well, trying to break that And one of the best discussions I think that's come out and evolved over the years is when we talk about the wage gap. One of the examples that people often give is sports. Now, this is a really interesting one because I watch a lot and very passionate. Now, football is interesting because particularly where you have a country like the US where their women's team is a lot better than the men's team. That's one thing. My best example is tennis with Serena Williams. I can understand the argument that if you play less games or you play for a shorter amount of time and your viewing figures are lower, then you make less money. I understand that. But when you have somebody like Serena Williams, now you have Naomi Osaka coming through, who are absolutely killing it.
Amazing.
Just it's groundbreaking and it's absolutely amazing to see. I love it. Sorry, I'm just rambling now.
No. She is amazing. No, you're right, 100%. But our Aaron said something to me that, sorry, our Aaron, me son, he killed me for saying his name. He was saying something about the women's American football team, soccer team. They say soccer, don't they? They were complaining about their wages, but they actually get paid more than the male soccer team or something, you were saying, because they have more viewers. There was something like that, and I was quite surprised. I'll try and find out the exact story because I wasn't listening very clearly, but I was quite surprised by that for once women are getting paid more than men.
Well, I think, well,
I'll have to look into that, I'll have to look into that, but I'm sure he said that. I'm sure that's what he said, because this country's different, I know, because football's mad here, isn't it? But because he was saying, well, do you prefer, because I like football and I've actually got me, I can actually coach football, got me level 1 coaching badge. Yeah, I know. And so I can coach it, but I've actually watched Arsenal women's and Everton. I really enjoyed the game. And he said, yeah, but did you watch it live? And I went, yeah, I was there. He said, yeah, but it's rubbish on telly. I was like, okay, I agree with you. But he was saying that, like they get so much more than men. Okay, but in America, it's different. So I'll have to look into it. But if that's true, for once, women are getting paid more money, which would be great.
I want to say Osaka earned the most of any tennis player. I can't remember if it's.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. And then Williams, with her getting sponsorship and stuff like that, she's probably one of the highest paid.
Oh, Serena is long set for life. She is set for life already.
Amazing. And like she's a good little role model as well, actually. Is Serena? Yes, Serena's got the baby. Yeah, I always get mixed up. She's a really good role model because she had a terrible birth, didn't she?
Yeah.
And she really was put a spotlight on Black women in childbirth, really, because she had an awful time. This is something that really needs to have a spotlight on it. And I didn't have a great childbirth myself. Mine was quite bad, but so long ago. But she really shone a light on it. And that's the thing that I like with some of these strong women that are like, role models, that they're using their platform to amplify stuff like that. And that's what I feel, unfortunately, us as Black women, we have to do stuff like that, we can't just be a woman or whatever, or a Black woman. We have to use our power to do that. So I know you're going to ask me about who a remarkable woman is for me. Well, she's one of them that everybody knows about. But for me, another remarkable woman who people know but not know why, her personal story of why, for me, she's remarkable. And she's remarkable for me for her inner strength and her resilience, is Tina Turner.
Okay.
Everyone knows she's got a wonderful voice. Everybody knows, she's a wonderful performer and whatever. And she didn't become famous until her own right, until she was 50, when she became a solo artist. But once this was all going on in her personal life, she was absolutely going through domestic abuse with her husband Ike at the time, through her whole career. And that resilience and that strength to keep herself going through that and to take the risk to leave him, for me, is just an amazing story. And that you can achieve anything you put your mind to. She just like completely left that all behind and just went and did what she had to do. And yeah, she's an amazing person. And if no one has seen the documentary, please go and watch it on Sky Documentaries. You should be able to get it on catch up. I don't work for Sky, by the way, people. But yeah, please go and watch it on Sky. And if you can get it, because I tried to watch it again and I can't find any platform to watch it on. What's Love Got to Do with It, which is an amazing film. And if ever anyone was ever going to do a film about me, I would really have to get Angela Bassett to play me. I would love that. Because again, an absolute amazing woman she is as well. I would just love her to play me. But yeah, that's just one of my little dreams.
Just drop Angela Bassett. She's gone about Angela Bassett as well. But Tina Turner,
isn't she just an amazing woman as well? Yeah, like we could go on about her as well. I just love her, honestly. She's like my female crush. But yeah, we could talk about her. So yeah.
Oh, but
so there we go.
That name is definitely one of those ones. I'm definitely one of those people. Like, I know her music and I know kind of her body of work, but I don't know anything aside from kind of the bits you hear in the bits and pieces, the sensationalized stuff. Don't really know anything about her personal life.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna have
Tina's
a look for that
amazing.
documentary.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I've watched that documentary about 3 times, as you can see. Well, as you know, I can watch things again and again. So yeah, but yeah, she's an absolute amazing woman. So yeah, she's for me. She's for me.
Love it. So the next question is going to be the biggest challenges you believe are facing women in the world right now.
I think for me, I think it's probably just that being seen as equal and not being seen as the weaker sex. I think that still sort of resonates. I think it was probably, and I'm not going to try and put it on the same platform as like, you know, what happened with George Floyd, but I think, you know, when, you know, is it Sarah? I can't remember her surname, was killed. I think that was a shock to a lot of women again, and that's why, you know, the whole Reclaim the Streets happened. We all know it happens, you know, unfortunately, we all know that we can't walk the streets and stuff like that. And I think that was probably a bit how, like, we felt as Black people, that, oh my God, you know, nothing's changed. And you've got to, you know, you've got to think about, you can't walk around the streets. And I think that is a big challenge. And you know, it's one of my things that I'm very paranoid about. You know, people look at me and go, oh yeah, but you're a strong woman. But I do have a big, massive fear of it. And that's why I do the things that I do. I do MMA and whatever. And I've always been interested in self-defense, is because of those reasons, you know. I won't even walk to my corner shop after it gets dark at 9 o'clock. I won't do it. Now, I know if God forbid something happens, I know how to defend myself, but I won't do it. You know, I'm fearful of it. You know, I won't go for a walk through the park at certain times early in the morning. I won't do that. I won't go for a jog around the park on my own early in the morning. And that's down to fear, you know. And it's not even I'm saying paranoia, but it is a paranoia, you know, because some things have actually happened. So that is a big challenge, a very big challenge. And I face that, you know. And I'm saying to you that if push comes to shove, you know, I'll be able to defend myself. But would I? I don't. It's still a challenge.
Well, the bigger question is, why should you be put in the position when you feel you have to learn that in the first place?
Yeah, but then what I do is I just don't even put myself in that position. Now I should be able to walk wherever I want to. So that's one of my challenges that I face as a woman. And then of course, then I also have the added challenge of facing being a black woman navigating through the world. So I have that as well. And I think we had an early conversation that, you know, I'm in a organization now where they have something called Be Yourself. And I actually feel free where I am, and I don't feel that I have to think about I'm a black woman, even though, you know, I have certain things where, you know, I have to speak as a black woman and explain how I'm a black woman, etc., etc. But, you know, I don't think when I go to a meeting where I'm, you know, talking about a job that I'm, you know, doing a presentation on or whatever, I don't have to think, oh my God, these people look at me as a black woman. I'm talking about the job. Whereas in the past, I've always been like, oh my God, you know, thinking, oh, well, I don't know who these people are. And are they going to look at me with that my hair is inappropriate? It's not businesslike. Oh, I'm going to have to tie them back. Or I can't have my locks in, blah, blah, blah. I can't wear my scarf. I don't even have to think about that now where I work. It's about the content of my work now. It's not about me.
I love it.
So that's great. That's really great. You know, now I can just think about my profession and what I'm doing. So I feel that now I'm giving my company a higher quality of work because it's just about the work now. So all that time that I'm having all this anxiety over, oh my God, I'm black, and they're thinking this and thinking that, that's not even there. That time spent on actually doing the job. So that challenge is gone. And I think that's it. That's it, really.
I think what's interesting about what you said is that with both discussions, I think as a general rule, people focus on when things happen. So whether it's a case of sexual abuse or whether it's a case of racism in the workplace, people focus on incidents. Whereas in both cases, I think the bigger problem, which as a black person, as a black woman, the way it affects you is how you think and how you behave in your daily life. So even where it's a case where nothing happens to you when you're out at the park or you're out walking about, it's how you think and how you adjust your day and how you work around, in the same way that as a black person being in a workplace, for myself, I know it's the way that I speak, and obviously I have a white voice because every black person has a white voice. The way that I speak,
Yeah.
the way my hair is, the way I communicate, um, all those little things that you're conscious of. So even if something doesn't happen, your life is impacted every single day and it's unavoidable.
Exactly. And I think as well, for me, it's sort of like, you know, last year for me was sort of, I thought things were getting better. So when this happened with George Floyd, I was a bit like, how stupid and how naive are you? That's the sort of thing I said to myself. I was like, are you this stupid? You know, you're not stupid because you're a professional, so you're not stupid, you know, but you are. Are you that naive?
Optimistic.
So yeah, it was like you fell for it. You fell for it, Rachel. You know, you fell for their rubbish. You know, and no, because even though, and this is what I was trying to explain in a talk I had today, even though it happened in America, for me, it was people still see you as less than. But for me, it was more the reaction of people in this country that affected me. Don't get me wrong, you know, it hurt me and I cried and I was so upset. But it was people here on how they reacted to it, and then people close to me that are meant to be my friends and how they reacted to it as well. And that was the bit that got me. Yeah, when I think back. So I think when that happens, it shakes you to the core. And a little bit as well with, you know, with the poor girl who died, you know, it does, it just shakes you to the core, you know. And I think I'm like that anyway when anybody gets killed, you know, any young lady gets killed, and it's someone who's close to them, or, you know, it's a neighbor, or it's a taxi driver, or someone they know in the bar, anybody like that, where you know, you don't know who's looking and following you and stuff like that. And yeah, it just shakes you to the core. So yeah,
You know,
I think that's what it is. It's other people's reactions sometimes for me more than anything.
one of the things that you've alluded to when everything happened with George Floyd, I came back from being very quiet to suddenly it was impossible not to start talking and not to speak. And one of the things that I described in terms of white privilege was, if you do not feel compelled, if you don't feel like you're forced to talk about this, you're comfy. And the fact that even trying to parlay that, and one of the good things, one of the good reactions that you did get to witness was, I had white people who weren't talking about it, which I was hurt by every single person not talking about it. But white people who
100%.
weren't talking about it and still reached out to me because you can see me in pain. Like, you know that I'm in pain, I'm crying, I'm talking, and people will reach out to me and say, you know, they don't know what to say, but at least try. That obviously meant a lot. But by the same token, seeing everybody who didn't say anything at all, privately or publicly, seeing if you're a member of a group or an organization or a workplace, and people see, well, they see the news for one thing, but they also see this person right next to them who's going through something and they don't speak up. For me, every single person in that situation, I'm making notes. I know who you are.
Wow.
And in a way, it's scary, because I know that even when this is recorded, you see it on camera and you can see what it's doing to people all around the world. Even at this point, you still have nothing to say, whether in general or for the people that you know. I'm scared of those people.
Do you know what? 100% right. 100% what you've just said. So I had a very, very close friend, right? And not said a word through it all. Not a word. Not acknowledged any of the work that I was doing with BLM. Nothing. Not said a word, right? And it goes back to this where we challenge, like we challenge ourselves and ask ourselves, oh, is it us? Is it us? Are we right? And we question ourselves about it. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong. And then I remember being in the gym, and it's someone who I don't know. Well, I do know, but they're an acquaintance, right? And they turned around and said to me, oh, do you know what, Rach? That's brilliant, that work you're doing with BLM. And I thought, you've said that to me, and I don't really know you. I know of you, you know, we're acquaintances.
Yeah.
But my very close friend hasn't even said boot of a goose about it. And that's it. I had to just, because if you don't even acknowledge that your good friend is in pain, you are not my friend. And I know that's really harsh, but I don't think it is that harsh, because that means you don't understand me and you're not my friends. Yeah, so I totally get where you're coming from, and I have lost friends, but I think that had to happen because you and me are on completely different paths and have completely different values of life and beliefs. So yeah, we have to go our separate ways, you know. But that for me, when that person came up to me and said, oh my God, it's such great work you're doing, is just amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, so you can come and say that to me. Someone who's meant to be close says nothing. Right, okay, no, I'm not overreacting.
Yeah.
But again, you question yourself. It's that, like, I don't want to say victim because we're not victims, but you sort of, how can I explain it? I'm trying to think how I can explain it clearly. But you know what I mean, don't you? It's like, you know, say someone says something offensive to you, you go, am I just being sensitive? You know what I mean? But no, they've said something that's offensive.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of thing. But yeah, it's completely changed my life. This, you know, everything, like last year. The best thing I ever did was meeting Chantel and reaching out to Chantel, and just, you know, dealing with this, because you're right. Once I open my mouth, I've always been very, very quiet on the race thing, very quiet. And then once I open my mouth, I just couldn't keep quiet. That's it now. I'm done. I'm just going to keep speaking about it. I can't keep silent now.
No. And I think being in that position when you suddenly become acutely aware of where people stand, it's a very interesting moment. When I started speaking out more and more, and prior to the incident, to be honest, even with frivolous arguments, I was focusing on starting law from the bottom and mental health, but I wasn't talking about racial inequality. And when I saw people's reactions, and I'll post something, whatever it may be, and those who did choose to engage chose to either attack me or attack what I was saying, or say something along the lines of, well, that's in the US, or racism's not that bad here, or the police aren't evil, things like that. People who, when they do engage, make it clear that they're not interested in listening to you or having a discussion. They just want to let you know that you're wrong. It's like walking into a dark room, turning on the lights, and you're seeing lions on the floor. It's a very strange.
But it's your reality. They can't tell you that you're wrong because it's your reality and it's your truth, and you're the one who's living it. So they cannot tell you that you're wrong. And that's where they are wrong, you know? It's like this Shield report, which is an absolute pile of rubbish, you know, that we should just set on fire, you know, that helps their narrative, that helps this country's narrative, and that's all that's for. Those recommendations are just recycled recommendations, not telling us anything new, you know, and it's just gaslighting the people, British black people and people of colour in this country. And it's an absolute disgrace. But again, they've used that so that people can go, see, we're not racist.
I feel like when you have the people whose research you allegedly relied upon before twisting, international communities, international organizations, scientists saying that you don't know how to present data or collect it in the first place, when you have all of that, you've probably written something which doesn't make sense. And I definitely don't think they came to that by accident.
Absolute joke. Absolute joke. But we're all not surprised by it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, somebody tried to have a discussion about it in work, you know, in our networks. And I was trying not to be rude, but I just said, why are we wasting our time talking about this report? Let's keep focused on what we need to do. That for me is a distraction. And we shouldn't give it any oxygen. Let's keep on the things that we want to do, because for me, that's what they're trying to do, just distract us from what we're trying to do and derail us, so that we're talking about that for another couple of weeks. No, let's just not even give it oxygen at all. And they were like, oh yeah, all right, Rachel. But that's the way I look at it. I'm not interested.
The way I see it is racist people wrote something racist.
I put some black faces on the front to say that they did it, that they were involved.
like I to be honest, I've not read the full thing. I've just read parts of it.
258 pages, don't bother.
Yeah, no, but even just thinking about some of the content that I was aware was in there. So when they were talking about the way that the report and other media outlets and things talk about academic achievement. So when I was working for my local government in South London, one of the things we focused on was achievement, particularly among minority ethnic communities.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see how they frame it every single time. When black people are lagging behind, it's black people aren't good in school or something's wrong with them. When black people overachieve, why are white students being left behind? It's like, well, it's proof that racism doesn't exist. I'm like, no, the reason that black people are overachieving is because their parents are coming to this country being shown no respect and being dehumanized, and so they hammer it into their children that the only way that you'll get out of that situation and or be respected
is to do well in school,
is if you're better than everyone else.
Exactly.
And you have doctor, engineer, lawyer by your name.
Yeah, exactly. Hammered into us, work twice as hard. Hammered into us. That's the way it was in my household. You've got to do better than anybody else. Oh yeah, and also in the report that, surprise, surprise, people don't like BAME. Surprise, surprise. Like we haven't been having that conversation, you know? And that was another thing that came up in work. And I said, well, okay, yeah, I don't like, we don't like it. It's uncomfortable, but they're going to come up with something else that others us.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be something else that just bands us together that makes the statistics look good.
It just, I'm just thinking of the criticism of the government that often, I can't remember who it was they were asking, but they were talking about black people being involved in government, and they're saying, well, how many black people do you actually have? It's like, we're diverse. We have BAME people. And it's like, so you've got 2 Asian people.
Exactly. That's what they do. That's what they do.
And
that's what they do. They do that. They'll go, oh, we've got this many percentage of BAME. Well, can you break that down for me? And that's it. I don't think they understand that. That's why we don't like it, because we want it broken down, and we want to get, we want to be represented properly. But yeah, so it's just, for me, it's just all distraction of getting to the point, and just, they're just always going to other us, but we just need to keep on going and putting on the pressure. So let's get out of lockdown and let's see what we can do.
Which brings us nicely to goals/changes that you want to see happen.
I want this kill the bill to continue. We're meant to be a democracy, which is an absolute joke. We should have the right to protest, and that's not just, I think that is a long-term goal of mine, because we should all have the right to protest. I mean, it's disgusting that Priti Patel, don't even get me started. We haven't got enough time. We've done peaceful protests. We always do peaceful protests. We've never, I'm talking from a BLM standpoint, let's talk about comparisons here, right? Early on in the week, there was protests about this Super League with the football. I've said it. Yeah, we've even had Prince William's support about it, right? Nothing was said about that. Where were the arrests over that? But BLM, with our peaceful protests, social distancing, etc., the media tries and puts the blame on us for the COVID numbers, etc. I'm sorry, it's disgusting. So, there was nothing about arrests and stuff like that and killed, and the bill being out about that. So, continue the hard work with kill the bill. That's what I'm going to say.
There may be some coverage out there, but I don't think I've personally seen any coverage of police breaking up the no to the Super League protests or giving people fines for breaking
Not at all.
COVID restrictions.
Not at all.
Coincidentally.
Not at all. And that's it, you know. And you know, Prince William's all against it and whatever, and how quickly they mobilised about it. And you know, like I said, I will repeat again, Prince William was
24
there
hours it
about
was
it.
done.
Exactly. And then anything to do with human rights, people just are mad about it and start saying, oh my God, they're socialists and they're this and they're that. But football, don't get me wrong, I'm a football fan, but football, no, sorry. So yeah, that's the biggest change I would love to see, because I think that you know, this is meant to be a democracy. They talk about us being the first world or whatever, and you can't even protest. No.
It's also a breach of, you know, international treaties, but they don't understand their own law, as they've evidenced repeatedly.
Exactly. Yeah, well, you know better than me, don't you, Paul?
Well, also, coincidentally, I know there was a royal statement, but William, did he actually say anything when his brother said that there was racism that drove him out of the family? Because I don't think
yes, he did. He said that the royal family is in no way racist.
I know that the next day he had a visit and he was walking through somewhere with a black
person. Yeah, he said that he did say a statement of the royal family is in no way racist, but I'm sure that I've seen a picture of you know, Prince Philip, where he went to, well, what was it, some parade, and there's a Nazi person with him or something like that. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Philip, his sister's funeral.
The sister's
funeral. Nazi state funeral.
Yeah, no, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Again, even that's another topic, but it comes back to a statement where you're saying racism isn't here, as opposed to just listening and believing someone. You don't have any questions. You don't want to like. Exactly.
Do you know, it's sometimes it's so farcical that you could just laugh. You know what I mean? It's like, do you know what? I'm just gonna say it. It's like even like the whole thing of, you know, Prince Philip's funeral and blah blah blah, and that he's a wonderful man, and some of the racist things that he said, and nobody even, you know, God forbid, yeah, he's somebody's husband or whatever, but you know, he said some racist things in the past, and you know, how do you think that makes people feel, people of colour in this country, when someone's put on a pedestal who is clearly said racist things?
See, I've watched The Crown and I loved it. And
I love The Crown. Don't get me wrong. I love The Crown.
Thing is, being a Doctor Who fan as well, Matt Smith is my guy. The problem with it is, with fiction, it's fiction, just like most of our history in this country. But part of that is, for me, Prince Philip was the most relatable person in the show, for me personally. But separating that narrative, I think that a lot of people, when it's like, he died, so leave him. Well, no, because for a lot of people, he's not who you see him as. He's somebody who continually reminded people that they weren't seen as human, they weren't seen as welcome. It's not like you were sending messages to the royal family, for example, saying X, Y, and Z, but just stating, you know, online that, okay, I'm not sad about this. And the reaction that got is that inability to get over that hump and actually communicate. And you have the exact same issue with the greatest Briton ever, Mr. Winston Churchill himself. It's like nobody's saying that you can't lead a country during a war, but it doesn't mean that you're not a white supremacist. Two things can be true at the same time.
It's mad, isn't it? It's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's, no, don't get me wrong. It's like, I know it's a little bit like I do love The Crown, but I don't love the royal family. It's a bit mad. But yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, no, but The Crown is like, it's fiction, isn't it? It's not real. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, you know, but I'm not going to be outside Buckingham Palace like that with my little flag. Do you know what I mean? But I do love The Crown. It's a good drama. Well, I do.
I can't wait for season 5.
I can't wait. I was like, damn, when it finished. But you see what I mean? But it's fiction, isn't it? It's not real, but you know, we all have our thing. Yeah. But yeah, I love The Crown. I can't even believe you love The Crown yourself. I'm quite surprised you love The Crown, but I love it.
Love it.
We all have our guilty pleasures.
I saw a lot of people having expressing confusion over their new feelings for Maggie Thatcher afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? There's a documentary, like Maggie Thatcher never liked her, like well, the late 80s. Yeah, I was born in the late 70s and the 80s, and I watched a documentary about Thatcher's rule, and yeah, she was a hard woman, like, but she actually thought she was very delusional. She actually thought she was doing great for this country. Yeah, she did. Crying her eyes out when she left number 10.
It's
Crying her eyes out.
It's a difficult conversation to have at times, particularly when you're faced with Labour, who are apparently the good guys. But when you talk about progression, both in terms of race and gender, it's hard to argue with the fact that the Conservatives have done a better job of actually promoting women and putting them in positions of power, even if their ideology is not correct.
Yes.
And even if you don't agree with them, you can't change the fact that Labour is really lagging behind. Maggie Thatcher is, as much as people hate her and disagree with what she did in terms of battling with men, old white men every single day, and doing what she did the way she did it.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's mad you saying that, right? Because I don't know what program, I watch a lot of telly, and there was an interview of her when she was Home Secretary. No, sorry, tell a lie, Education Secretary.
Okay.
And a little girl asked her, do you ever think there'll be a female Prime Minister? And she goes, it's about who's ever good at doing the job. But she said, but I don't think there will ever be. I thought, wow. And look at her, she was. But then I remember when, and then I remember when Theresa May was going for the leadership, right? And I was like, listen, love, that's a poison chalice. Yeah. Don't go for that job. And then when she got it, I thought, you're going to have to do a good job of this. And she absolutely messed it up. So I can't see there being another female leader, because you're only as good as your last game.
Well, I was going to say, Theresa May stepping in for me was like whoever came after Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger. It was only going to end one way. But as scary as it is to think, the next female prime minister right now, I don't actually see them coming from anywhere but the Conservatives, which says a lot and is very unfortunate. But
if you look at it, if you think about being a female prime minister is a bit like taking the England manager job. It's a bit like that. It's a disaster. It's going to ruin your career. It's a bit like that.
Oh man, we could talk about this forever.
We
need to wrap
this up. Put the wheel to light.
We need to wrap this up. Put the wheel to right. It's going to be impossible not to have you back. We could talk about any one of the million things we discussed forever.
I know, he's so easy to talk to. Yeah, we could just put the wheel to rights, but no, I've really enjoyed it. I really have.
No, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, we're definitely gonna have you back.
Anytime. What might be a good one is we could do it on a Friday night when I've had a couple of wines. No, I'm only messing. No, let's not do that.
That's not my first. But
it's brilliant.
So to wrap up, big up yourself. Obviously, I know you're doing.
No, big up you as well.
Thanks. Not what I meant, but thank you. I know you're doing a lot. Obviously, BLM, Black Professional Services. You have Queens on the Couch. So
yeah, we need to do some more of them actually. Yeah.
So tell the people a bit about where they can find you or things to see what you're doing?
Yeah, so of course, Merseyside BLM, you can see us on Instagram, you can join us on Facebook, you can catch me on Insta, Rachie, Rachie40.
I'll tag you. It's fine.
Yeah, I set it up when I was 40. And also BPSC Collective. You can also go on there. We're also on LinkedIn. If you're a Black professional and you want to get into, you know, getting some mentoring for people who are in the Big Six and people who've been in professional services, please join in. It's accounting, yeah. And you know, getting involved in a big network, yeah, please join. So it's been lovely, you know. I've really enjoyed this. It's been really good. So yeah, get me on whenever you want.
I just realized we need to talk more often.
Yeah, we do.
Definitely have you back. Thank you so much for coming on. You've been amazing. I think people are really going to enjoy this. We've touched on deep stuff as well as I've laughed a bit too much at times.
Yeah. Oh well.
It's what you said about the workplace. I'm past that point of
No, it was good. It was a good catch up.
No, thank you very much for coming on, Rachel.
No, thank you.
You've been amazing. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.